Hey folks, I have been trying to build up my catalog of short videos in my tips and tricks playlist, so this is going to be one of them. I promise if you like the longer builds, I'll be doing those eventually. So what we're working on today, on the backs of these clocks, I have to route out a square for the clock hardware to fit into. This is probably being really noisy, isn't it? Anyway, it fits right in here. And it needs to be routed out because when you flip it over, we need to be able to see the thread showing so that we can get that nut on there and put all the hands on and be ready to go. So let's show you how I made a jig to cut this out. So the first thing I want to do is cut a hole that's big enough for this hardware to go through. So this is a standard size clock hardware. They might come in different sizes, but this is what I've seen on several different things that I've purchased. And this diameter is going to end up being a 5/16. I hope I got that right. So what I like to do is screw the hole from the front to so all the tear out comes on the back. Now we got our 5/16 hole. Originally the smaller hole that was there was from that little pin that we used to cut the circle out with the circle jig, which is on my other video. So now that fits in the hole. Now we got to route out the square. So I'm going to start with this in its hole by marking the square that it needs, or where the groove needs to be, where the routed space needs to be. All right, now I know where it goes. So here is my jig. I already built it, but it's pretty simple. I used some scrap MDF pieces that I found and some scrap 1/4-inch material that I found. And I discovered that the distance from here to here in order to get the right size square was 5 3/8 inches. So 5 3/8 this way, 5 3/8 that way, make a square and put your fences along the 5 3/8 square, and then you got a hole in there for your jig. Now with these screws, you notice they're coming out a little bit. These are 1 1/4-inch screws. They're just something that I had. I decided that I want them to poke through just a little bit on the back, and I'll show you why. So when I fit my square over the square that I drew, I don't need a clamping system to keep that in place, because if you just give these screws a little tap, then they're going to hold themselves in place as well as you need them to. So they are holding themselves well enough. Now it's time to route it out. So with my router, it has a depth gauge right here on this little thing. And what I found out with my previous things by trial and error is I found the depth that it needs to be in order for the hardware to fit through as deep as it needs to go. And when I found that depth, I marked it with a pencil so that I can always reference that pencil mark right there as the maximum depth. Now, I do not want to start with the maximum depth because you can run into too many problems trying to remove too much material at once. So we are going to start with just maybe like a 1/4 inch. Let's see here. Start with a 1/4 inch depth and go from there. I usually do about 3 or 4 passes. All right, so here is the routed out space, and let's go ahead and put the hardware in there. It's right in there. Looks good on this side. Let's flip it around. And it looks like we got just enough thread showing there to put a little tiny nut on there, and then the rest of the hardware should go on nicely. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and check out all my other ones about making these clocks if you're interested. Bye.